"You're fired, Dad," he said in my own boardroom. He didn't know the clause I wrote 30 years ago was about to end his empire. He took my chair, my title, and my company. So I quietly took back the one thing he never expected: control. Before continuing, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and write in the comments, where are you listening from? The boardroom went silent when my son said those words. "You're fired, Dad." 23 executives stared at their notepads. Nobody moved. Outside, rain hammered against the windows of the 42nd floor, my floor, the one I'd designed myself back in 1987. I looked at Michael across the mahogany table. His tie was perfect. Italian, probably. The kind that costs more than my first car. Behind him, floor-to-ceiling windows showed the city I'd helped build. Literally. Thompson Construction had erected a third of those buildings. "Michael," I said quietly, "we should talk about this privately." He leaned back in his leather chair. My chair, technically. The one Martha had given me when we landed the Morrison contract. "No, Dad. This is a business decision. The board agrees. You're too old. Your methods are outdated. We're moving in a new direction. Jennifer Kim, our CFO for 6 years, wouldn't meet my eyes. Neither would Tom Rodriguez. I'd hired Tom fresh out of college, paid for his MBA when his father died. He studied his coffee cup like it held the secrets of the universe. "I see," I said. "And this new direction, does it have a name?" Michael smiled. The kind of smile you give a child who doesn't understand grown-up things. Efficiency. Modernization. We've already spoken with Sterling Development. They're very interested in a partnership. Sterling Development. Jesus Christ. The same company that used Chinese drywall in their Miami projects. The ones that made families sick. The ones we'd testified against 3 years ago. "Sterling," I repeated. "You want to partner with Sterling. They're willing to invest substantial capital, enough to expand into 6 new markets." Michael straightened his cufflinks. "But they need management they can work with. Someone who understands modern business practices." The coffee in front of me had gone cold. I could see my reflection in its dark surface. 68 years old. Liver spots on my hands. Hadn't slept more than 5 hours since Martha died. Maybe Michael was right. Maybe I was outdated. "When does this take effect?" "Immediately. Security will escort you out. Your personal items will be shipped to your home address. Your company email is already deactivated." He slid a folder across the table. "Your severance package. Very generous, considering." Considering. That word hung in the air like smoke. Considering what? That I'd started this company in my garage with $14,000 in a pickup truck? That I'd missed Michael's first 5 birthdays working 16-hour days to keep us afloat? That I'd put him through Stanford when the business nearly collapsed in '08? I stood up slowly. My knee popped. "Arthritis. I'll need access to my files, personal records, photos, already boxed." Michael gestured to 2 security guards by the door. I hadn't even noticed them come in. Young guys. Probably didn't know who I was. "Gentlemen, please escort Mr. Thompson out of the building." Mr. Thompson. Not Dad. Not even my first name. Mr. Thompson. I walked past the conference table, past Jennifer, who was crying quietly into her hands, past Tom, whose jaw was clenched so tight I could see the muscles jumping, past the portraits on the wall, the Morrison Tower, the Bellevue Medical Center, the Harbor Bridge renovation. 36 years of work. The security guards flanked me in the elevator. Neither spoke. The descent from the 42nd floor took 93 seconds. I counted. Old habit. Always counting. load times, cure times, inspection windows. My whole life measured in numbers and deadlines. In the lobby, Sandra, at the reception desk, started to wave. Then she saw the guards. Her hand froze halfway up. Her smile died. She turned back to her computer screen like I'd already vanished. My truck was in the executive parking garage. Level P3, spot E7, reserved parking. I'd fought the building management for 2 years to get those spots for my senior staff. Now I wondered if Michael would keep it or give it to someone from Sterling. The guards waited while I unlocked the door. A 2015 Ford F-250. Martha had hated it. "You're a CEO, Robert," she'd said. "Buy a proper car." But I'd built this company with my hands. Couldn't see myself in a BMW. "Sir," one of the guards said. "Young kid. Couldn't be more than 25. I'm sorry about this. My dad says you built half the city. 3/8. I said. "Close enough, though." I drove out of the garage into the rain. The windshield wipers struggled against the downpour. 42 years old, those wipers. Original equipment. Never failed. My phone buzzed against the dashboard. "Michael." I didn't answer. It buzzed again. Again. I pulled into a Starbucks parking lot and checked the messages. "Dad, don't be dramatic. This is business. The severance is fair, more than fair. Call me when you're ready to be rational." Rational. I looked at the folder on the passenger seat, opened it. The severance package was 3 pages long, a lot of legal language. Bottom line, $180,000, paid over 2 years. Plus continued health insurance for 18 months. I laughed, couldn't help it. The sound came out wrong. Bitter. $180,000. I'd put $2.4 million into Thompson Construction over the years. Personal loans when the bank wouldn't refinance. The second mortgage on our house in '09 to make payroll. The home equity line in '13 to buy the new equipment. Martha's engagement ring had cost more than my severance package. The thought appeared fully formed, and suddenly I couldn't breathe right. I sat there in the Starbucks parking lot while rain drummed on the roof, thought about the night I'd shown Martha the garage where it all started. 1981. She was 23. I was 26. We had nothing but a dream and a construction loan from her father. "You really think you can build something?" she'd asked, looking at the concrete mixer I'd bought at auction. "I can build anything," I'd told her. Stupid and young and so damn sure of myself. She'd kissed me there in that garage. Then build us a life. The company went public in 1995. Martha had insisted. "For Michael's future," she'd said, "so he never has to struggle like we did." I'd transferred 42% of my shares to a family trust. Michael got 20% when he turned 25, another 22% when he joined the company as VP. Which meant, I realized, sitting there in the rain, that Michael now controlled 51% of Thompson Construction. He'd diluted my shares 5 years ago, asked me to sign papers to restructure for tax efficiency. I'd signed, trusted him, my son. The rain eased up. I started the truck again. Didn't know where I was going. Not home. The house was too empty since Martha died. Just me and her pictures and the ghost of her perfume in the closet. I drove to the Morrison Tower instead, parked across the street. 53 stories of steel and glass. We'd broken ground on July 14th, 1989. Martha was pregnant with Michael, 6 months along. She'd brought lemonade to the site every afternoon that summer, her belly growing while the tower rose. "This will be his legacy," she'd said, rubbing her stomach. "When he's grown, He'll drive past this building and think about his father. I wondered if Michael ever looked at it. Probably not. Too busy thinking about sterling development and modern business practices and efficiency, my phone rang. Not Michael this time. Jennifer Kim. "Robert," she said when I answered. Her voice was shaking. "I'm so sorry. I wanted to warn you, but Michael made us sign NDAs. He threatened legal action if anyone told you what was coming." "It's okay, Jennifer. It's not okay. You hired me when no one else would. You paid for my CPA exam prep. You came to my wedding." She was crying again. "This isn't right. Did you vote for it?" In the board meeting? Silence. Then, quietly, I abstained. Tom voted against it. But Michael had the majority already lined up. Sterling people. Consultants he brought in 6 months ago. 6 months, I repeated. He'd been planning this for 6 months, while I was still grieving Martha. While I was trying to keep the company running and deal with her estate and figure out how to live alone in a house built for two. "There's something else," Jennifer said. "The Sterling deal. It's not just a partnership. Michael's negotiating a full sale. He's planning to liquidate Thompson Construction within a year. Sell the assets, keep the brand name, outsource everything overseas." The truck cab suddenly felt too small, too hot. I rolled down the window. Rain misted in. "He's selling the company within 12 months. Sterling's offering $340 million. Michael stands to make about $173 million personally. The remaining shareholders split the rest. And the employees? Layoffs start in 90 days. They'll keep maybe 30% of current staff. Everyone else gets 2 weeks severance. 2 weeks. We had 347 employees. I knew most of their names. Knew their kids' names. Tom Rodriguez had 3 daughters. Jennifer had twin boys. Marcus in accounting was saving for his mother's surgery. Linda in HR had just bought her first house. "Jennifer," I said slowly, "does Michael have full authority to make this sale?" "He needs board approval, but he controls the board now. The vote's scheduled for 3 weeks from today. And if I still had majority shares, then he'd need your signature. But Robert, you don't. The restructuring 5 years ago, I signed them away." I watched rain stream down the windshield. "Thanks for telling me, Jennifer. I know it wasn't easy. What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet." But that was a lie. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I just needed to check something first. I drove to the house. The big one in Bellevue that Martha had loved. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, a kitchen she'd designed herself. We'd bought it in 1993, right after the company's first major expansion. Michael had grown up here, learned to ride a bike in the driveway, had his high school graduation party in the backyard. Inside, everything was exactly as Martha had left it. I couldn't bring myself to change anything. Her reading glasses still sat on the end table. Her bookmark still held her place in the mystery novel she'd never finish. I went to my office. The file cabinet in the corner, second drawer down. I'd kept copies of everything. Old habit from the early days when we couldn't afford a lawyer, and I had to learn contract law from library books. The restructuring documents from 5 years ago. I spread them on the desk, read through them slowly. Michael had explained it as tax optimization. Move some shares into a holding company. Better for estate planning. Better for everyone. There. Section 7, subsection C. A clause I'd barely noticed at the time. Transfer of voting rights contingent upon continued active employment as chairman and CEO. In the event of termination, voluntary or otherwise, All transferred shares revert to grantor for a period of 60 days, during which time grantor maintains right of redemption at fair market value. I read it again. Then, again. My hands started shaking. I still owned those shares for 60 days, and I could buy them back. The phone rang. Michael again. I answered this time. Dad, we need to talk about your reaction today. Very unprofessional. You're selling the company, I said. Silence. Then, who told you that? Jennifer? Tom? I'll have them terminated immediately. Doesn't matter who told me. Is it true? It's a business decision. Sterling's offering an excellent price. This is about maximizing shareholder value. Shareholder value. Is that what we call it now? I kept my voice level, calm. What about the employees? The families that depend on us? They'll find other jobs. That's not our problem. This is business, Dad. I thought you understood that. I understand plenty. I understand you waited until your mother died, until I was grieving and distracted. I understand you've been planning this for 6 months. I understand you think I'm too old and stupid to notice. You're being emotional. This is exactly why we need new leadership. His voice went cold. Professional. The severance package is generous. Take it. Retire. Enjoy what's left of your life. Don't make this difficult. Or what? Or I'll make things very uncomfortable for you. I have lawyers, Dad. Good ones. If you try to interfere with this sale, I'll bury you in litigation. You'll spend your retirement in courtrooms. Is that a threat? It's a promise. Back off. He hung up. I sat there holding the phone. Outside, the rain had stopped. Late afternoon sun broke through the clouds, throwing long shadows across Martha's garden. She'd planted roses there. 46 bushes. One for each year we'd been together when she died. I thought about what she'd say. Martha had been the moral compass, the one who kept me honest when the business got hard. When contractors offered kickbacks, when clients pushed for shortcuts, when building inspectors hinted at flexible interpretations. Robert, she'd say, you can't build anything lasting on a crooked foundation. I pulled out my phone, found the number for James Chen, my old lawyer, the one who'd handled our incorporation papers back in '81. He'd retired 5 years ago, but we still had lunch once a month. Robert, James answered on the second ring. How are you? Holding up? I need your help. Professional help. What's wrong? I told him everything. The firing, the Sterling deal, the share structure, the reversion clause, Michael's threats. James listened without interrupting. Old lawyer habit. The reversion clause is solid, he said finally. Michael's lawyers probably missed it, or didn't think you'd notice. Either way, you have legal grounds to reclaim those shares. But Robert, but what? This will destroy your relationship with your son, whatever's left of it. Are you prepared for that? I looked at Martha's picture on my desk, her smile, the way her eyes crinkled when she laughed. He destroyed it first. I'm just making sure he doesn't destroy everything else. All right. Come to my office tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. We'll start the paperwork. That night, I couldn't sleep. Lay in bed staring at the ceiling. At 2:17 a.m., I got up and went to the garage. The original garage. The one where it all started. We'd built the house around it. Martha's one condition when we moved. That garage made our life, she'd said. We're keeping it. My old tools still hung on the pegboard. Hammers, levels, squares. The concrete mixer I'd bought at auction was long gone, but the workbench remained. Scarred wood, coffee cup rings. pencil marks, measuring cuts from 40 years ago. I found the old photo albums in a cabinet, started flipping through them. Me at 26, standing in front of the first job site. Martha, pregnant, bringing lemonade. Michael as a baby in a hard hat, 3 sizes too big. Michael at 10, visiting the office. Michael at 21, graduating Stanford. The last photo was from 5 years ago, Michael's first day as VP. He wore a suit I'd bought him. We stood in front of the company logo, both smiling, my arm around his shoulders. I'd been so proud. My phone buzzed. Email. From Michael. Sent at 2:43 a.m. Dad, I know you're upset, but this is for the best. You'll see that eventually. The money from the sale will set you up comfortably. You can travel, relax, live the retirement you've earned. Don't fight this. Please. M. Comfortable retirement. Travel. Relaxation. Like I was a dog being put out to pasture. Like 36 years meant nothing more than a nice severance check and a gold watch. I typed a reply, deleted it, typed another. Deleted that too. Finally settled on 4 words. See you in court. His response came 30 seconds later. You'll regret this. Maybe. Probably. But I'd regret doing nothing even more. James's office was downtown, 20th floor of a building Thompson Construction had renovated in 2004. The irony wasn't lost on me. I arrived at 8:47 a.m., 13 minutes early. Old habit. Robert. James met me at reception. 73 years old, white beard, sharp eyes that missed nothing. Come in. I've been reviewing the documents you sent. His office overlooked Elliott Bay. We'd worked together on deals worth hundreds of millions over the years. Now we were fighting over shares in a company I'd built with my own hands. The reversion clause is clear, James said, spreading papers across his desk. Michael's termination of your employment triggers an automatic reversion. You have 60 days to exercise redemption rights. After that, the shares remain with the holding company. What's fair market value? That's where it gets complicated. Michael will argue the shares are worth $340 million total based on Sterling's offer. That means your reverted 42% would cost about $143 million to redeem. I don't have $143 million. I know, but you have assets, the house, your personal accounts, your pension. We could get a loan against the potential sale value. James leaned back. Or we take a different approach. What approach? We file an injunction blocking the Sterling sale. Argue that Michael orchestrated your termination specifically to prevent you from exercising your redemption rights. Claim the sale price is artificially low, that Sterling's offer undervalues the company. Is it undervalued? Probably. Sterling's notorious for lowball offers. They'll asset strip Thompson, sell the real estate, offshore the operations, and flip the brand name for triple the purchase price. Michael either doesn't know that or doesn't care. He cares about $173 million. That's what he cares about. James nodded slowly. There's one other thing. I made some calls this morning, talked to people at Sterling. The deal's not as solid as Michael thinks. What do you mean? Sterling's financing is contingent on acquiring 100% ownership. They want complete control. No minority shareholders. No dissenting voices. If you reclaim your 42% and refuse to sell, the deal collapses. The room went very quiet. Outside, a fairy horn sounded, low and mournful. If the deal collapses, I said slowly, Michael loses everything. Not everything. He. still has his shares, his position, his salary. But yes, he loses the $173 million payday. And Sterling will pull their offer permanently. They don't like complications. He'll hate me for it. He already hates you. He just hasn't admitted it yet. I thought about that. About the cold way Michael had said Mr. Thompson. About the security guards. About 6 months of planning while I grieved. About selling out 347 employees for a paycheck. Do it, I said. File the injunction. Exercise the redemption rights. Block the sale. Robert, this will get ugly. Michael will fight. He has resources. This could take years. I have time. And I have the truth. Sometimes, that's enough. James smiled, grim but approving. All right, let's go to war. The injunction was filed at 3:17 p.m. that afternoon. By 3:45 p.m., my phone started ringing. Michael, Jennifer, Tom, numbers I didn't recognize. I let them all go to voicemail. At 4:23 p.m., someone knocked on my door. I opened it to find a process server holding a manila envelope. Robert Thompson? That's me. You've been served. Inside was a lawsuit. Michael Thompson v. Robert Thompson. Breach of fiduciary duty, tortious interference with business relationships, defamation, 5 other claims I'd never heard of, seeking $50 million in damages. I called James. Michael's suing me. I know. I just got served too. He's suing me for legal malpractice. This is a pressure tactic, trying to scare you into backing down. Is it working? Is it? I thought about Martha, about the garage, about the Morrison Tower rising while she rubbed her pregnant belly, about 36 years of work, about 347 families counting on those jobs. No, I said, it's not working. The war lasted 6 months. Depositions, motions, court hearings. Michael's lawyers were expensive and aggressive. They dug into every corner of my life, found the speeding ticket from 1987, the late tax payment in 1993, the time I'd fired a contractor for using substandard materials and he'd threatened to sue. They painted me as difficult, unreasonable, a bitter old man clinging to past glory, unable to adapt, unable to see that the world had moved on. James painted a different picture. A founder betrayed by his own son. A company built on integrity being sold to corporate raiders. Employees treated as disposable assets. A legacy destroyed for profit. The judge was a woman named Patricia Hoffman, 62 years old. She'd grown up in Seattle. Her father had been a union electrician. She listened to 6 months of arguments with the patience of stone. The final hearing was on a Thursday, October 14th. Rain again. Always rain in Seattle. The courtroom was packed. Media had caught wind of the story. Father versus son. Old money versus new. Integrity versus profit. Michael sat at the plaintiff's table with 4 lawyers. He didn't look at me. Not once. Judge Hoffman reviewed the documents, read through the reversion clause, examined Michael's termination letter, studied Sterling's acquisition offer. The room was so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat. Mr. Michael Thompson, she said finally, did you or did you not terminate your father's employment as chairman and CEO of Thompson Construction? I did, Your Honor, for legitimate business reasons. And were you aware of the reversion clause in the share transfer documents? Michael's lead lawyer started to stand. The judge waved him down. Mr. Thompson, answer the question. I may have been aware. But those shares were a gift. My father can't just take them back. They weren't a gift, Judge Hoffman said. They were a conditional transfer. The conditions were clearly stated. Your father maintained redemption rights contingent on continued employment. She looked at me. Mr. Robert Thompson, do you have the resources to exercise these redemption rights? I've secured financing, Your Honor, against my personal assets and a loan from a private equity firm that believes in Thompson Construction's future. The judge nodded. Then I'm ruling in favor of the defendant. The share reversion is valid and legally binding. Robert Thompson has 60 days from the original termination date to complete the redemption transaction. During that period, Michael Thompson is enjoined from proceeding with any sale or transfer of company assets. The gavel came down. Michael's face went white, then red, then white again. In the hallway outside, reporters swarmed. I pushed through them without comment. James handled the statements. I just wanted air, space, silence. My truck was in the parking garage. I sat in it for 20 minutes, hands shaking, heart racing. I'd won. Somehow, impossibly, I'd won. The phone rang. Jennifer Kim. Robert, oh my God. We've been watching on the news feed. You did it. We did it. You and Tom. Everyone who believed. What happens now? Now I buy back my company. And we figure out what Thompson Construction stands for, what it's always stood for. I drove to the Morrison Tower, parked in the same spot across the street. The sun was setting, golden light on glass and steel. 53 stories reaching toward the clouds. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Then I realized it was Michael. He must have gotten a new phone. You've destroyed everything. I hope you're proud. I typed back. I didn't destroy anything. I saved it. There's a difference. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, nothing. He was done talking. That night, I opened a bottle of wine. The good stuff Martha had been saving for a special occasion. I sat in the backyard by her roses and toasted the sky. We did it, I said to the empty air. The company's safe. The employees keep their jobs. Everything you built, it's still standing. The roses swayed in the breeze. 46 bushes. Some were blooming even though it was October. Late bloomers, just like me. The redemption transaction closed on November 3rd. Cost me everything I had. The house, my savings, most of my retirement. But I owned Thompson Construction again, 51%. Controlling interest. Michael resigned the next day. Sent a 1-sentence email to the board. Effective immediately, I am resigning all positions with Thompson Construction. He didn't say goodbye, didn't clean out his office. Just disappeared. I heard through Jennifer that he'd moved to California, took a position with a tech startup, never wanted to see Seattle again. I should have felt triumphant, vindicated. Instead, I felt empty, hollow. I'd won the war but lost my son. James met me for lunch the following week. How are you holding up? I'm managing. Any regrets? I thought about that, really thought about it. Yes and no. I regret that it came to this, that Michael and I couldn't find another way. But I don't regret protecting the company, protecting the people who depend on it. That's something, at least. Martha would have known what to do. She always did. James smiled sadly. Martha would be proud of you. For standing up, for doing the hard thing. You think so? I know so. She told me once, this was maybe 10 years ago, she said, Robert's going to have to make a terrible choice someday. Between what's easy and what's right. I just hope I'm there to help him through it. My eyes stung. She always knew. Somehow, she always knew. Over the next 6 months, we restructured everything, brought in new board members, set up an employee stock ownership program. 20% of the company now belonged to the people who actually built things. We turned down Sterling's offer, formally and permanently. Then we started bidding on projects again, real projects. Hospitals, schools, affordable housing, the kind of work that meant something. Tom Rodriguez became the new CFO. Jennifer Kim took over as Chief Operating Officer. We promoted from within, found people who cared about more than just the bottom line. The company started growing again, slowly, steadily, built on the same foundation it always had: integrity, quality, people. I stepped back from day-to-day operations, stayed on as chairman but let younger minds handle the details, spent more time in the garage, working with my hands again, remembering why I'd fallen in love with building in the first place. One day, about a year after the court battle, I got a letter, actual letter, handwritten. The return address was from San Francisco. I recognized Michael's handwriting. "Dad, I don't know if you'll read this. I wouldn't blame you if you didn't. But I need to say some things. I was wrong. Not about the business. I still think Thompson Construction needed modernization. But I was wrong about how I did it. Wrong to exclude you. Wrong to treat you like an obstacle instead of a father. I've been in therapy, working through a lot of stuff. The therapist says I was trying to prove something, that I wanted to succeed without your shadow, that I resented always being Robert Thompson's son instead of just Michael. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that I see it now. What you were trying to protect. It wasn't just about money or control. It was about people, about legacy, about building things that last. Sterling would have destroyed Thompson Construction. You were right about that. They've already gutted 2 other companies I know of. Assets stripped them and sold the pieces. Our employees would have been collateral damage. I saved this for last because it's the hardest thing to write. Mom would have been ashamed of me. She would have sided with you. I know that now. And that might be the worst part of all this, knowing I disappointed her. I don't know if we can fix this. Us, I mean. But if you're ever in San Francisco, I'd like to buy you coffee. No agenda, no business, just coffee. I'm sorry, Dad, for all of it. Michael, I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and put it in my desk drawer, next to Martha's reading glasses. I didn't respond right away. Needed time to think, to feel, to figure out what forgiveness actually meant. 2 months later, I flew to San Francisco, called Michael from the airport. "Dad?" He sounded shocked. "You're here? I'm here. You mentioned coffee. We met at a cafe in the Mission District." He looked different, thinner, older somehow, even though he was only 43, gray threading through his hair. "Thanks for coming," he said when I sat down. "I wasn't sure you would." Neither was I. We sat in silence for a while, awkward, painful, like strangers trying to remember a shared language. "How's the company?" he asked finally. "Growing. Tom and Jennifer are doing good work. We just landed the new transit center project downtown." That's great, Dad. Really." More silence. Then, "Are you happy?" "In San Dad, Francisco. Getting there. The startup's interesting. Different from construction. Faster pace. Less tangible. Sometimes I miss building things you can touch. You could always come back. Seattle, I mean. Not the company, I'm not suggesting that. Just the city. You're home." He shook his head. "Not yet. Maybe not ever. Too many ghosts. Too much history. I understand. Do you? He looked at me directly for the first time. Do you understand why I did it? Not the firing, I know that was wrong. But wanting to step out of your shadow? Wanting to build something that was mine? Yes, I said. I understand that. What I don't understand is why you thought destroying what we'd built together was the only way to do it. He didn't have an answer for that, just stared at his coffee cup. Your mother and I said slowly, we never wanted you to feel pressured. The company was supposed to be a gift, a foundation for your future, not a cage. I know. I know that now. But when I was younger, Dad, everything was always Robert Thompson's son. Every achievement, every award, every success. It was never just mine. That must have been hard. It was. And then Mom died, and you were drowning in grief. And I thought if I could just make this big move, prove I could run things without you, then maybe I'd finally be my own person. So you betrayed me. The words landed like stones. Michael flinched. Yes, he said quietly. I betrayed you. There's no other word for it. We sat with that truth. Let it breathe. Sometimes the only way through pain is straight through it. I forgive you, I said finally. Not because you deserve it, not even because you asked for it, but because holding onto this anger is like drinking poison and expecting you to die. Michael's eyes went wet. Thank you. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And it doesn't mean we go back to how things were. That relationship is gone. We have to build something new. If we're going to have anything at all, I'd like that. Building something new. Even if it takes time. It'll take time. Maybe years. Maybe forever. But we can try. We finished our coffee. Talked about smaller things. His apartment, my garden, the weather, safe topics, building blocks for whatever came next. When we parted, he hugged me, brief and awkward, but real. Give me time, he said, to become someone you can be proud of again. You always were, Michael. That was never the question. I flew home that night, sat by the window watching clouds pass beneath the plane, thought about foundations, about how you can't build anything lasting on broken ground, about how sometimes you have to tear everything down and start over. Back in Seattle, life settled into a new rhythm. The company thrived. We won awards for workplace culture. Forbes wrote a piece about our employee ownership model. Other companies started copying our structure. I kept working in the garage. Started teaching weekend workshops for kids interested in construction, passing on what I'd learned, giving away knowledge the way Martha had always said I should. Michael and I talked once a month, phone calls, careful conversations, slowly building trust. He never asked to come back to the company. I never offered. That door was closed. But other doors opened. Smaller ones, more honest ones. On the second anniversary of Martha's death, I held a memorial service. Small gathering. Close friends. Company people. Tom and Jennifer came. James brought flowers. 46 roses, one for each year we'd had together. Michael flew in from San Francisco, stood in the back, didn't say much, but he was there. That meant something. After everyone left, we stood together by Martha's grave. She would have handled all of this better, Michael said. The company, us, everything. Probably. Your mother was smarter than both of us combined. Do you think she'd forgive me? I thought about that, about Martha's capacity for love, for second chances, for seeing the best in people even when they couldn't see it themselves. Yes, I said, she'd forgive you. But she'd also tell you to do better, to be better. That's what love means. Believing in what someone can become, not just accepting what they are. Michael nodded slowly, reached out and touched the headstone. I'm trying, Mom. I'm really trying. We stood there for a while, then walked back to our cars together. Not fixed, not healed, but not broken beyond repair. 3 years after the court battle, Thompson Construction celebrated its 40th anniversary. We threw a party at the company headquarters. Everyone came. Employees past and present, clients, competitors. The mayor showed up. Even the local news ran a piece. I gave a speech, talked about Martha, about the garage, about building things that last, about how a company is more than profit margins, and quarterly reports its people investing their time and talent and trust in something bigger than themselves. We almost lost this, I said. Almost sold out to people who saw Thompson Construction as nothing more than assets to be liquidated. But we chose a different path. We chose each other. We chose to build instead of destroy. And that's made all the difference. The applause was long and loud. But the moment I'll remember came afterward. Jennifer pulled me aside. Robert, there's someone here to see you. Michael stood by the door, suit and tie, nervous smile. Hi, Dad. I hope it's okay that I came. Of course it's okay. You're always welcome here. I'm not asking to come back. I know that ship has sailed. But I wanted to see it. What you've built. What you saved. I walked him through the office. Showed him the new design center. The employee break room we'd renovated. The wall of photos documenting 40 years of projects. He stopped at a picture of the Morrison Tower. I remember when this was going up. Mom brought me to the site. I was maybe 7. She bought me a plastic hard hat from the gift shop. You wore that thing for months. Slept in it half the time. I wanted to be like you. Build things. Make a difference. He turned to face me. I lost sight of that somewhere. Got caught up in money and status and proving myself. But standing here now, I see it again. What you were trying to teach me. And what's that? That buildings are just steel and concrete. The real construction happens in people, in relationships, in communities. You don't measure success in dollars. You measure it in lives changed, families supported, futures built. My throat went tight. Your mother would be proud to hear you say that. I hope so. I'm trying to live it now. The startup I'm with, we're developing affordable housing technology, modular construction. Makes it faster and cheaper to build quality homes for low-income families. That sounds like important work. It is, and it's mine. Not because I stole it or forced my way into it. Mine because I built it from nothing, on my own terms. That's what I was looking for all along. I just went about it the wrong way. We stood there together, father and son, damaged but healing. The past couldn't be changed, but the future was still unwritten. You know, I said slowly, if you ever want to collaborate on a project, your technology, our construction expertise, I'd be open to that conversation. Michael smiled, real and genuine. I'd like that. Not now. I'm not ready. But someday, when the time is right. Someday, I agreed. When the time is right. He left before the party ended, had a flight back to San Francisco. But before he went, he hugged me. Longer this time. Tighter. I love you, Dad. I should have said that more. Before everything fell apart. I love you too, son. That never changed. Not even in the worst of it. After he was gone, Tom found me standing by the window. You okay, boss? Yeah. Better than okay. I think maybe we're going to be all right. Michael and me. Eventually. Martha would be happy about that. Yes, she would. That night, I went home to the house in Bellevue, the big one Martha had loved. I'd thought about selling it 100 times. Too big for one person, too full of memories. But I couldn't let it go. In the backyard, her roses were in full bloom, 46 bushes. I'd planted 3 more this year, one for each year since she'd died. Eventually, the whole yard would be roses, a garden of memory. I sat on the porch with a glass of wine. Good stuff. The bottle Michael had sent for my birthday, an olive branch, a gesture of peace. The night was clear, stars visible despite the city lights. I thought about all the buildings I'd helped create, all the lives I'd touched, all the mistakes I'd made and lessons I'd learned. Thompson Construction would outlive me. That was the point. Build something that lasts, something bigger than yourself. Pass it on to people who care. Let it grow and change and become something new. Michael would find his own way, build his own legacy. Maybe our paths would cross again. Maybe we'd collaborate on something meaningful. Maybe we'd just be father and son again, slowly, carefully, one conversation at a time. But we'd survive, both of us. That was enough. I raised my glass to the stars, to Martha, to the past and future, to buildings that stand and relationships that endure, to forgiveness earned through time and truth. We did it, I said to the night. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't easy. But we saved what mattered. And that's enough. That's more than enough. The roses swayed in the breeze. Somewhere in the city, people slept in buildings I'd helped create. Tomorrow, they'd wake up and go to work in offices I'd built, send their kids to schools I'd constructed, visit hospitals I'd renovated. That was my legacy. Not money, not power, not a name on a building, but the solid, honest work of hands and heart, the foundation beneath people's lives, the structure holding up their dreams. And if I'd lost my son for a while to save that legacy, if we'd had to burn everything down to find our way back to each other, well, that was the cost. You can't build anything lasting on a crooked foundation. Sometimes you have to tear it down and start over. Build it right. Build it strong. Build it with love. The stars shone. The roses bloomed. And somewhere in San Francisco, I hoped my son was looking at the same sky, thinking the same thoughts, slowly becoming the man his mother had always believed he could be. That was enough. That was everything. I finished my wine, went inside. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new projects, new opportunities to build. But tonight, I'd rest. I'd earned it. And somewhere, I knew. Martha was smiling. If you like this story, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions in the comments. To listen to more stories, click on the window on the right. Thank you for being with us.